Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining today. Really excited for today's convo. So we know the episodes with my clients are the best. And today I am bringing Madison Barney back onto the show. She was actually on in January of this year as well when she had first joined the revolution and had incredible results upon joining in her new business. And now she's back. Now she's back because she is celebrating her first $25,000 cash month in her new business since January. She has now quit her job. She is just having the most beautiful occurrences come through the work we've done together inside the revolution. And I just can't wait to share it with you. And she just also has such like good, nourishing, yummy energy. So I know you're going to love the episode. And something that is so cool as well is like her quitting her job at this precipice moment, right? Where her business is now outpacing the amount of money she was making in her job. Like, in addition to this $25,000 cash month, she also signed a 2-year contract that is paying her more than her corporate salary that only requires 1 day a week of work from her. So this is just profound. She actually has 2 businesses. One is sort of like what I would call storytelling consulting from like a very unique lens that is more focused on the corporate space. And on the other side, she's essentially a life doula. So through any transition that you're having in life, not just birth, it could be grief, it could be just life transition, loss, whatever it is. So she has 2 very different arms of her business, and it's going to be really cool to hear about. I'm always talking about our signature edge, our je ne sais quoi, getting paid for who we are, not just what we know. And it's been so powerful to see how, in the ways that she's learned to do that and working with me and Inside the Revolution, how it's just skyrocketed her company, even in the corporate arena, which everyone thinks has got to be like so buttoned up and all the marketers sound exactly the same. It's not the case. And then, of course, on the other side of her company as well. So I'm just going to let her do the talking. Well, us do the talking because it is an interview and you are just going to love it. Also, I'm super excited. I announced the Black Friday sale today. It is only going to be going on for a week. So today is the first day. It will be closing Tuesday. What day of the week is Tuesday? I never, your girl is not that sensitive to time. Y'all may have noticed. All right. Tuesday. Oh no, it's Wednesday. So I'm going to be closing the sale Wednesday, end of day Wednesday, November 25th. This is 50% off my signature spaces. So if you're here to enter your Relax Millions era, I know you ready for that after 2025, aren't you? Aren't you? You are going to want to jump in. So this is going to be 50% off Enchanted Sales, Hottest Shit on the Internet, Overflow, and Magnify, Manifest, Receive. What's super cool as well, if you're like, I fucking vibe with this, and you want to upgrade to have individually attuned mentorship, unlock the full feminine business, limitless wealth creation product suite. Also, I've got a 6-week mastermind kicking off in January, and all of this is happening inside the revolution. Then for 30 days from purchase, you're able to leverage whatever you bought, or you've bought if it's been in the past 30 days to upgrade to join us. You are going to have that option as well. And then of course, if you're just vibing with the program and you just want to stay there in any of those 4, that is no problem as well. But I would definitely dive in because I've got your back on every single important pillar of business that is going to support you in scaling Relax Millions, where you are getting paid to be yourself, where your depth creates demand, where your multidimensionality is exactly what makes you stand out, but it's no longer confusing or kind of like, well, I vibe with her, but like, I'm not really like clear, right? We want your people not only feeling you, but certain to buy from you. And I am just a genius at helping women land that. And you will just feel so good in your business. And of course, we've got, in addition to all the business things, the money things, and the client attraction things as well, because we want you to continue to be a place that is solid and safe and yum for money and clients to land, and for you to be attracting clients not only through your strategies, not only through your content, but through your frequency. So for example, in Magnify, Manifest, Receive, I teach you client attraction through the lens of business energetics, and it's so fucking cool, and results pop off every time. They pop off in every single one of these offers, but it's really about what you want to dive into. So hottest shit on the internet is going to be everything thought leading content that makes your brand and your offers timeless. You do not, you sure you already seen from this year, you do not want to be chasing trends. You do not want to be trying to keep up. You just want to be fucking relevant because you're relevant without having to try, right? And you don't want to be doing this whole thing where they told you attention is the greatest currency. Guess what? For getting paid, connection is. So let's like master that skill set instead of just trying to get like more attention on the internet, which you've probably already tried that. You've probably already seen how maybe you got more likes, but did increase your numbers. So let's like move on from that one. So hottest shit on the internet is a real fucking vibe. We've got enchanted sales, which is going to be the unseen energetics and attraction based strategies that you are able to mold to how you like to do business, to what is a vibe for you, that so you can sell out every offer at every price point. This is also where I teach my quantum sales pathway. Now remember, you do not, it doesn't need to be like, oh my God, my whole business, my whole business is going to be like a passive business. This isn't about like, we've got to run from one model to another. And again, I actually don't even recommend that because most of the time that's going to send your income taking and you're going to get really stressed out. Whatever you are doing now that is working, let's keep doing that. What I'm offering you is the opportunity to bring forward a passive pathway, a pathway that sells extremely well into your mid or high ticket spaces or both, that you don't have to do very much for. And even if you're just organic right now, like my client Marina, who's fully organic in her business, she just sold out $45,000 of spaces from an $11 low ticket offer. She had never done this before. She literally just followed exactly what I mapped out from how she created an offer that was activating, from these sales pages that create positive emotional tension and really bring forward that, of course, differentiation, but that just like, ooh, that is the bitch I got to learn from type of energy. Right, how she was selling on the back end and all the different things that she's now able to move into a funnel, essentially, because she got all her information and now put it on autopilot. And she never runs an ad in her life, well, it's very easy for her to continue to drive people into that $11 experience. Actually, I think she's raised the price to $22. That's not going to make a difference. Into that $22 experience. And now she knows she has one pathway in her business. People can be joining that every single day that 100% leads to high ticket sales in the spaces that she would like to have full. So isn't this so cool? And we actually added some more juice on the back end. So even if people don't buy into those high ticket spaces, they're actually shopped around essentially through the full back end of her business without her doing anything. So just doing that alone added $20K a month to cash a month to my business as well. In October, we're in November now. So it's just been so amazing to just like have this one pathway while there's, maybe the spaces we like to mentor. I still love mentoring personally. Like I was actually saying in the Secret Money membership the other day, if you gave me the option to be like, Jocelyn, do you want a 100% passive business and like you never mentor anyone again? I'd be like, no, that's like definitely not what I'm looking for. I just like to have an avenue, multiple avenues, to be building out avenues that pay me on command that I don't need to do anything before, because isn't that the feminine way? So anyway, I teach you the total like frequency coded way as an energetically attuned woman to build a quantum sales pathway for yourself. Yours does not need to look exactly like mine. It does not need to look exactly like Marina's. I will just be always dying on the hill of like, this isn't about come do it exactly how I do it. Although you're welcome to do it exactly how I did it. Now share exactly what I did with you, literally down to the exact emails and how they're crafted, right? And why. Always super important in my world. Why? Because you can't copy paste. We need to understand what is activating people forward, and not through the lens of what's doing it in my brand. I'm teaching you how to do it in yours, right? So this is really powerful. So I give you the full tea in enchanted sales. So come join and change your life. It's changed Marina. She's been in business for 20 years and had not previously introduced this in her business. And she was like, wow, this feels like building a company now. This is life-changing. And I was like, exactly. So let's all take Marina's lesson from 20 years in business and hop to it sooner. Okay, so we've got enchanted sales. We've got hottest shit on the internet. We've got overflow. Hello, if you know, you know. This is about leaving behind the energetics that have you creating just enough, a little bit of extra, feast or famine, no matter how much money you make, bank account stays the same. Dropping that middle class money program, stepping into relaxed money, really mastering the frequencies of receiving, holding, growing, and flowing. Just everything that is like compounding your money, building that certainty, becoming a woman who leads money instead of money dragging you around. Also life-changing. This is what took me from when I was like, quote unquote, stuck at 50K months for a year, bank account staying the same, 6 times my bank account in 4 months, quantum leap from 50 to 100K months in 30 days. I had a 60K month, then I went straight to 100K month, then maintained 80K to 100K months for years from then, right? Like sustained wealth building, overflow is the way. And then magnify, manifest, receive. Did I mention that one already? You're going to be learning how to leverage basically wealth energetics as a strategy in your business. Overflow is taught exclusively through the lens of money. MMR is literally taught through the lens of business. So for example, what you come up against in launching, how to let business be easy. Like it's all through the lens of experiences you have in business, not necessarily experiences you have with money. So the vibe is rapid client attraction, shattering upper income limits, and attuning to more through desire over push, because all the frequencies that I teach you there, of course, are everything that underpins feminine business, that feeling of the exhale. Girl, just jump in. So those are the 4 hottest on the internet: enchanted, sales, magnify, manifest, receive, overflow. If you're like, Jocelyn, these all sound like a vibe, and you want to bundle 2 or more, and you're not ready to join the revolution for whatever reason, or obviously you get those, everything else, plus mentorship and the mastermind we have coming up in January, I would join the revolution. But anyhow, if you're like, girl, I am not ready, that's okay. If you want to join 2 or more, then just shoot me a DM or email assistant@jocelynkellyreid.com, and we will get you an exclusive Black Friday savings link. Remember, you only have through next Wednesday to make this move, and that is going to be, no, did I say the 25th last time? No. Wednesday is November 19th. So take note. Okay, and then also, little hint, remember that you can always rate and review the show on Apple. DM your screenshot to assistant@jocelynkellyreid.com. I recommend taking it before you hit submit, because sometimes Apple takes forever. Or you can send me a DM with it. And yes, I will give you the additional $200 off, which you can actually use on any offer in the business other than the Secret Money membership. So I love you so much. Enjoy the show, and come hang out with us for Black Friday. Hi, beauty. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Madison. I loved it so much. 1, you should definitely come join us inside the revolution. 2, you should definitely join us in the Black Friday sale, which is happening now. It is 50% off my signature spaces, enchanted sales, hottest shit on the internet, overflow, magnify, manifest, receive. All you need to do is use code BLACKFRIDAY50 at checkout on any of those 4 offers. Please remember to use the code BLACKFRIDAY50 at checkout, because the discount is not automatically applied. So Black Friday 50, this is going to be in episode notes. A reminder that you're able to rate and review the podcast, receive $200 off any offer in the business. You are able to add that to the sale prices on any of the offers. You just need to send your screenshot to assistant@jocelynkellyreid.com or shoot it to me over DM. And then, of course, if you want to bundle any of the offers, just send us an email or shoot me a DM. Let us know which you're interested in. And, of course, we'll get you your Black Friday savings links for a bundle. Anyway, everything is in episode notes. If you want to come join in the revolution, of course, you're going to get it all, plus individually tuned mentorship. We have twice monthly hot seat coaching calls. Even if you're not able to make it, you're able to drop your question. I answer it. Like, you are fully fucking supported in this space. This is not 100 people. You never get your question answered. This is every single woman gets what she needs on the calls. The end. This is how I do masterminds. You guys don't need to like pay me just to like be around the energy. We're actually like in your business. I know your business. I know your offers. I know you. Like, we are high touch. And we have a 6-week mastermind intensive kicking off in January. So this is going to give you time to like get in, get started, and then we'll be rocking and rolling by the time we get to Jan as well, when we're going to be going deeper in the new year. So I love you so much. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will be back soon. This is such an exciting day. I am so happy to have you. I am so happy that we have so many celebrations to share, and especially because the first time that you came on to Queen Flow, you jumped into the revolution. I think you signed your 75K in contracts in 3 days for the first time. And obviously you were just off to like a lightning fast start. And so now, further in, it's just really exciting to do a look back based on the current results that you're having, which are just, I mean, when you rolled into the Telegram chat and it was like 16 things, I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? This is so good. So before we
Yeah.
dive in, could you just share so everyone has the context, like what you do? I know you have a couple businesses. I think probably more of your B2B business is going to be more in
Mhm.
focus for this conversation, but we can talk about both as well. Yeah, if you just want to share a little bit about what you do across both your companies, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So my B2B is I'm the founder and principal at the Center for Story and Strategy, and we do like storytelling and strategy work for health and justice organizations, and really with the belief that like every community and individual and team has the wisdom they need to like create the impact the organization is looking for, but we make huge mistakes when we don't do that listening and create strategy from there. So creating strategy and then also like content and shareable things for to move policy and advocacy and all of those things. It's is where I am there. And then my other side of the business is like more writing focused and doula focused. I have a book coming out early next year, early next spring. And then also over the past year, like I do birth and death doula, but I also have started expanding into more like offering doula support across like all of life's things. Like I've done a divorce and other people's creative projects and just like so many different things to have that like doula support, like rooted in like the wisdom of the individual and what they know to be true and what they know they need, and just like holding them in that and making like plans and yeah, just doula support for like all of life's doorways.
And I love that you have this, like you have so much depth in your brand, even though it's like, I
Mhm.
know it's not one brand, it's two different businesses, but the way that you're approaching, so, I'm always talking about, it's like bringing forward the depth of us into our businesses, and the way that you've done that in both the B2B space and in your more like, call it like to consumer in the doula space is just like so unique and so cool. So it's also just so fun for me to support you. So I'm like, wow, she's like bringing the fullness of who she is forward. It's not just like, like sometimes in these realms that it can just, everything can sound like very basic and traditional and
Mhm.
black and white and kind of boring. Not usually my people, right? So I just love that the multidimensionality of how you bring your work forward as well is just, to me personally, also makes it a pleasure to coach you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I've definitely like settled more into that this year to be like, I am not a siloed individual. Like there are different things that I do and like different work, but like it doesn't like I can't fully LinkedInify myself because like then it's just like that's not
That's not
me.
who
Like
you are.
yeah.
And we always talk about my world, right? Like being paid to be ourselves. So that means we actually want our depth to be the reason that we are paid, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of times what I find is that like that tends to get actually boiled down into a place of like where it creates contraction for energetically attuned humans, right? It would do the same thing for me. So I really like being like, okay, instead of you trying to like niche down within an inch of your life, simplify till you sound like Susie, the internet marketer, all these things where you sound so 30 and you're not. Let's actually learn how to build and scale a company where your depth is the reason, right, that you're so well paid, instead of creating confusion in the marketplace, because that's
Yeah.
normally where people start, is it's creating a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
So what I would love to start with first is like just to back it up a little bit, because now you've been with us for a while, which is amazing. And we're going to be celebrating like your first 25K month. You have an additional cash month from your business. You had an additional $40,000 in contracts. You signed multiple speaking engagements. I mean, you then signed a 2-year contract paying you more than your prior corporate job, working only 1 day a week. Like this all went down in a very, very, very close period of time. Like I said, my jaw like hit the floor when you came into the Telegram chat. I was like, go girl. And it
Yeah.
just feels like such a beautiful culmination of just everything that we've been working toward in this like past year inside the revolution. So before we dive into all of that and how the revolution's been beneficial to you, I'd love to hear just where you were when you started and like what brought you into my world. And also we can be speaking to, what's been beneficial for both of your companies as well. But yeah, if you
Mhm.
could share, although I've worked with you more on your actually, no, you've asked about both, but I feel like there's been a
Yeah.
little bit more of a lean on the B2B side. So yeah,
Yeah.
before you came in, where were you? What was going on in your reality with business, with money, and what led you essentially like into my world and to join?
Yeah, I was still working full time and had my businesses on the side. And and just felt this sort of like stuckness of like I can't really market myself because like I'm in that role, but I clearly like there's an appetite for the work I'm doing, and like people are reaching out about it and I can take on some of them. And just this sense of like knowing that I had somewhere to go and being sick of not going there.
Do you mean in terms of like a destination professionally, like you meant
Yeah.
basically, you were quote unquote meant for more and you were tired of like holding yourself back? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I meant the meant for more, and I was like in a job that like, and this was the tricky part for me is I was in a job that had previously been my dream job, and like I had wanted it for so long and applied to similar roles there for so long, and so then it took me a while to realize that like I was being stalled out there, um rather than, and like being like, but I wanted this for so long and like it should be good enough, and trying to like talk myself into this should be good enough and like this is where I should be. And I just knew that like I was, yeah, I was meant for more. More was supposed to happen for me, and that I just like I capped myself, and like there was a lot of I had to rebuild trust with myself almost, because for a while I had known that it wasn't it, but had tried to talk myself into it, but all the while knew that I was like kidding myself. And I think that was I remember a coaching call that we had a couple months ago, and I had just gotten some like disappointing news. And you're like, well, Madison, like, who do you want to be? Like, you have to decide who you want to be. And I was like, I had the realization that for so long, even like into this year, I had been doing this thing where it's like I could see where I wanted to go, and I could see, and I would like listen to like coaching and programs and things like that and be like, yeah, I'll go there, but I'm not going there yet. And it like was this big like almost thing. And there was a point this year I just got done doing almost, and I like quit my job and went full time. And within that month, like all of these things unraveled, because it was just, yeah, it was like the energy and action and like actual decision. And so much of it came back to that question of like, well, who do you want to be? And not, I don't want to be the person who like stays in a place where I know I shouldn't be, halfway does all the things that I do want to be in order to like maintain the thing I don't want to. And it's just, and I was just like, I like who I claimed I wanted to be and what I was actually doing, where there just wasn't alignment.
Okay. And so, because I had asked when you were originally coming into the revolution, what
Yeah.
was bringing you in? So are you saying it was that feeling of like, hey, I know where I want to go and I need to actually like commit to this, even if I'm going to be working on, in this job and having my companies at the same time to start?
Yeah. And it was, yeah, it was the like, it was the first step out of that sort of like feeling trapped by my own decisions, let's say. And it was just sort of that I was like almost fed up enough. And it was a sense of like, but still this feeling of, oh, I can still do this like stretch thing, but also hold myself in the safe thing. And then the more that, yeah, so that's what that brought me in, of this sense of like, I still wanted to like cling to everything, but somehow grow and get to where I wanted to go.
And then what about with joining the revolution specifically? Because obviously a lot of us get to that point, but then there's like, okay, well, where do I want to invest my time? Who do I want to be mentored by? Where do I want to invest my money, et cetera, et cetera. So what made you desire to join the revolution?
The access to all of the programs, and also like we've talked about this, we're both 3/5s, we're both like April 1st Aries, and so there's just something about, I was like, there's this like, I don't think, I'm not an astrology or human design expert by any means, but there's something in your energy and in like the way you did things that I was like, that like she has to learn by doing, I have to learn by doing, like in the ways, and just in the ways that I had heard you teach through like free content and things. I was just like, this is somebody who like calls me forward, and also like has these like parts of her that I can follow and be like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. And that, yeah. And so it's just like this perfect. And there was this point in, even though I wasn't ready to like quit my job and things when I came into the revolution, I like thought I was, but wasn't. I also had this feeling that like Jocelyn could get away from me. Like you're accelerating so fast that you could get to a point where it's like, I can't like learn from you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, so I was like, I can't fall behind the person I actually want to learn from. And I want to learn from her while like, it's not like she has been doing this for like 20 years and I've, missed the boat. Or
Oh
even like 5 more years,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you're talking about that feeling. And also, people don't think about that stuff. I'm like, guys, the more success people have, the further they get in the game, like access to them starts going down, like things start changing. It's changed even right in my company, not in the context of the revolution and not in Fempire, but I had more proximity spaces previously than I do now. So it's like, you have a point where it's like, get moving. Of course, I want you coming in from a place of desire as well. But I think that in a way it's relevant. And also it's really cool to be, where I mean, this is my way too, where it's like, I'm always going to teach you from my current point of evolution. Of course, what's transpired before and what I see work for clients and what not, and what I'm tuning into, right? I'm a very like, I don't teach just off like theory. You know what I mean? I'm very like, we have like walked this. We have made these mistakes. We've had these wins. This is why. How do we want to tailor things to you? Da 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 da. But the further that people get, the more they are removed from certain stages. Right. So it's like, for example, if you are mentored by someone who's been doing this for 20 years, they're going to have a very different reflection than if you kind of like caught them at year, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And neither is better or worse. It's just very different. Like I've noticed sometimes with people much further along, like you have to work a lot harder to get out of them, like the nitty gritty things that like you need to know. Cause they're kind of like past that and they're just thinking about like the meaning of life. Right. And they're like, it's not all about the money. I'm like, that sounds nice to someone who's already has millions and millions of dollars in the bank. But like, if we're mentoring people who are legitimately trying to build their businesses, I just notice the further people get, the more they're kind of like, they just switch into this other realm that is a little bit less tangible in terms of if you're needing, more kind of like dialed in hands-on support, if that makes sense.
For sure. And they might have like legitimately forgot something, just like it's not.
Forget it. Yeah. And also it's like, well, 20 years ago when they started, it was not the same environment. Right. So you also need to be able to support people through the current environment because it's very different to already have, an extremely established brand. You've been in the game for a decade, You already are so established. People already trust you so much. Are you like guiding a new entrepreneur from that? It's different because you weren't new at the same time. However, I will say that I started basically in 2020, but that wasn't really honestly like that long ago. And the internet has evolved, but it's like those first 6 years, like that's quote unquote, I would call it like pretty new. So like, I've still had to very much pay attention and evolve like with the market and of course with myself. And I also just love business. So like, I'm always studying it. It's not one of these things where it's like, oh, we got the business here, like whatever. Like I love it. So I always have that reflection, but sometimes I notice I'm like, where did you guys learn this outdated stuff? And I'm like, oh, they're learning it from people who that worked for. I'm like, this is why these things don't work anymore. We need to evolve. And some people are more interested in evolving their business with the environment than others. I think there's people who are very like, this is how we do things. This is what it is. This is what I teach. And it kind of just doesn't change. It's sort of like that. The like webinar to signature offer model that people used to do that just does not work anymore as an example. I'm sure it's working for someone, but on the whole. So anyhow, and I think that is so interesting. You'd never told me that before.
Yeah, I don't think I had. And I think there's also just the way you talked about business, like what you just said of like, it's always evolving and it's like interesting. And it helped me to, one of the reasons I was interested in coming into the revolution, because I wanted to switch from the like being almost afraid of business as this like great unknown to like, I'm doing what I love to do. And I want to like love that process of like tweaking it and refining it and like trying new things and all this stuff. And so it was just like the way you talked about it. And then also just like being a spiritual person, like needing that sort of like, I can't learn a step-by-step approach and be like, hey, great, I'll apply that and do that. Like I could, but it just wouldn't work. Like I have to be able to like remix things and bring them to life in my own way.
It's all about the remix, baby. All about the remix. And you need to be mentored by somebody who can remix with you. Because what ends up happening is people are like, well, this is the process. This is what we do. And if that's not going to fully work for you, they're like, oh, well, you're like having a block. It's like, no, maybe. She's not. I mean, sometimes we are being resistant, but a lot of the time people are just trying to like execute strategies, content styles, all these different things that legitimately are not meant for them. And that is why they are not working.
Yeah.
So it's really important to me also as a mentor. And because I'm the same way, there is no only one path, but also
Right.
there's the guardrails. So you feel on track and you understand how, okay, if we make all these decisions, this is how this stacks. This is how we
Mhm.
optimize, what to look for. It's not like, oh, just do whatever you feel like, because you can't scale a company just doing whatever you feel like. And also, if you'd already built a multi 7-figure, 8-figure company, well, you would have already done that, but you haven't done that yet. So
Right.
you just operating off your feelings, like, well, they're not actually informed by levels of business intelligence that you just don't have yet. So that also
Mhm.
is not a 100% reliable strategy. You need to be able
Yeah.
to respond to things and be like, okay, I'm in alignment with that, but
Right.
not know exactly what those things need to be at all times.
Right. Yeah. And like I can get into the hyper masculine of like, do all the things and create the like structure that will, and like all these things. And I also needed to really learn to like have a healthy amount of structure while also like going on a 30-minute walk and like letting things download and things like I just like I can get so much in the go. I think especially in times of like scarcity that it was just like I really wanted to learn from someone who had the mix of like, yes, you need the strategy, but you also need to like you want the feminine exhale. And I needed to get more on that side of things so that I could even like feel what was in alignment and build a
Well,
structure
there's
based
that
on.
part. Yeah.
Mhm.
You need
Yeah.
your channel needs room. Okay, so
Yeah.
amazing. So now, so we understand why you came in. That makes a lot of sense for the type of woman who does really well in my world. So I would love to hear. So obviously we've had this like major culmination point. We've had lots of wins along the way,
Mhm.
and in all realms. And it's just been like so fun to watch and also just like watch you like settle in and actually see how easeful it gets to be. Cause I think you almost don't believe it until you have
No.
this experience because you've been conditioned to work like really hard or that business is so hard and money is so hard because people all over the internet still love to talk about how hard everything is.
Mhm.
And then of course there's quote unquote real life. So can you share like what your experience has been like in the revolution and what has been so helpful to you and what for you, how you feel, what has contributed most to growing both of your companies and then obviously having your first 25K month. We've got the more 40K contracts coming in. We've got the speaking engagements rolling. Like everything is just happening.
Yeah. So much happened in the revolution. Let's see. Yeah, just this greater sense of like direction. I think when you're like semi early in business or like building a business, there's this like, I had this temptation of like, oh, I have to focus on everything everywhere all at one time and like run around. And there was this sense of like focus of like, figure out what works, do that, like get something that's like people want. And it all sounds really obvious, but I think I like without that direction, I think I would have just been like flailing around
Do you mean
and
like
like
in mentorship of like, actually,
yeah,
let's focus on this and not
yeah.
be doing these things? Yeah.
Mhm. And yeah, and just that clarity of like one call and then okay, I have like my marching orders and I can go do that. And it's like not that you've told me what to do, but you've like guided me or like talked through something. And so yeah, just that shift in like confidence of that like where I put my energy, there will be dividends. And like because I'm being coached, I'm putting the energy like where where impact will be rather than just being like focusing on just like busy work or just like doing for the sake of doing and things like that. Um the mindset changes have also been huge. I my partner jokes that like if she heard your voice like in a crowded room, she would like know it was you, having never like seen or spoken to you. Just because it's like if I'm making dinner, like I'll be listening to things or like, this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like that sort of like the repetition of just being like realizing that you are not saying things that only work for you. You are saying things that are just like universal laws and like realities and then so it's just like sort of like collapsing that distance between like where I am and where I think I can be is not a like off in the distance thing. It's like an energy and action now thing. And like that has really changed how I move. And so like that's been really, really helpful. And yeah, just those access to like all of the programs, depending on like what I need at any given time or like what I can listen to, has just like, I even like, even some of your less signature ones, like Unstoppable is in there. And like, I listen to Unstoppable all the time because it's just like, there's something about it that just like, that sort of just like move, like, you know, like go, like, you know, there's just like this mandate in it almost to just like not put up with your own nonsense. And I was put, you know, I was just like, there were like two parts of me, like one putting up with a lot of nonsense and one being like, I have no tolerance for that. And like they had to come together. And I think all of that has been so helpful in that. And yeah, and ultimately just like over the course of like 8 months of, you know, like refining things and getting them ready and like building that sort of internal knowledge and confidence, like just being like, okay, it's actually like going from the realization of like my job is the thing keeping me safe to like my job is actually holding me back and it's time to go and who do I want to be. Like 8 months might sound like a lot of time, but it also like I was able to then jump into a business that then like, you know, within the first month, like it was my biggest month ever and I was able to yeah, just like actually be in the freedom of it and like be caught by like a you know, like a stable structure. And yeah, and then there are also just like the like miracle strange things like being named like public health 40 under 40, and like that's obviously like has a lot of, so there've just been like these like, and like these webinar things that come and like speaking engagements that like came as a result of that. And just the like the work itself made a structure so that when these things started flowing in, I could catch them and like, you know, and like respond to them rather than just being like, you know, I don't know what to, you know, I don't know what to do with these opportunities. I have nowhere to like put them. I have no structure for them to fall in.
And so then can we talk about the culmination of your first 25K cash month? Because it's such
Yeah.
a big deal to have like, you know, come in with like a baby business. And
Yeah.
then in less than a year, we're celebrating your first 25K cash month. There's been so many other big celebrations and also the additional contracts. And I think just that you signed one client that covers your whole prior corporate salary and then some, and you're working 1 day a week. Like these are huge, 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 you know, quote unquote wins and what is a very new company. So
Yeah.
could you talk about what's been supportive for you and just sort of like landing those opportunities in terms of like specifically being in my world and from the way that I teach, however it is that it hits for you or has hit for you?
Yeah, I think in one, and having the like, yeah, the strategy and structures in place so that like when those things were coming in, it's like I have a process and I have like tiers of engagement and I know like where to put people when they come in and like what the best, so like I have an offer suite now, like just having these things
There's
where
like
it's
an actual, in business coaching terms, right? We now actually have like an offer strategy and an offer
yeah,
flow. There's an ascension model. It's not just like you meet someone, it's random. How do we figure out how to price them out? Like all of these things, like behind the scenes, when we're wobbly in this area, it's like it really messes up. It's like there's no strong masculine foundation for money and clients to come to you because somebody comes to you and everything's sort of like, it's like mushy, you know, like
yeah,
this. And I always say that like money wants a solid place to land. And so even for someone, for example, of course, who like has a more built out offer model, et cetera, but like if parts of it feel leaky, if the way they connect together isn't clear, if they're not connected, well, business to business is a little bit different in terms of connecting on the back end. If they're not connected on the back end where one is like really easily selling the next, like it creates all this like dissonance like in our field. And then if one sales go slower because you've got to like push everybody along and wait, blah, blah, blah. But
yeah,
two, it's like, you know, something's not steady. And so then of course, like the money is not feeling growing and steady either. So of course, like in the business to business realm, there's like slight adjustments to, of course, like how we package, et cetera, et cetera. And I know that like we worked on those, but this, it's like, so do you feel the difference now of being like, oh, wow, I have like a really stable offer suite ascension model that like actually just like makes sense?
yes, 100%. And it also is this sort of like switch from, you know, people coming and telling me how they'll work with me to
They
me
want to
telling
work
them
with
how we'll
you.
work together.
Like you
Yeah.
are not the help. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That also
Um,
makes a big difference in how much people are willing to pay you.
yeah, 100%. 100%. Um, yeah. And just this sense of assuredness of like, obviously I can do this, which is not a thought that I had before. You know, it was just like, this is for other things, but I think over the past 8 months, it's just been this like, not only obviously can I do this, but no one can do this but me in this way, for these people. And like, and yeah, it sounds so simple when I say it now, but that was my biggest hang up is how on earth would I do that? Like, I know like my vision of the work I want to be in the world, but like, how on earth would I enact that?
And then what about when it comes to kind of like the thought leadership, messaging pieces? So of course we talk about our multidimensionality,
Yeah.
and even within your different brands, like, that can create confusion for a lot of energetically
Mhm.
attuned women in terms of like, hey, but then how do we like market that where it doesn't just sound like a mishmash of like too many things and there's no clarity for people to hang on to? So what would you say has evolved? Because I feel like this is such a big piece when it comes to like your positioning and allowing your depth to lead, but obviously in ways that like, as we are seeing, like the people to have clarity on and desire to pay abundantly for.
Yeah, I think the mishmash was much more before, and then now I think over the past months I've created like more, like I've been able to solidify it into like I have these structures that like modalities or like frameworks for how I think, and then and once I have that solid, like the other things I want to talk about and the points of interest naturally come from that, but it's like I needed that almost solid foundation for the rays to come off of, for it to like reground it and make sense of, as opposed to the just like, I'm talking about all these things. Can you find the center of it? It's like, here, I found the center for you. Now, like, come on these like side quests with me.
I love that. That
Mm-hmm.
makes it's, and that's a lot of the time what's missing is like we haven't done the or been supported in like really anchoring those frameworks, those methodologies, and like also getting you really on board. It's not just about naming and describing. It's like we got to get to something that is just like like that is so
Yeah.
you. We are behind this. We're
Yeah.
behind this on a brand level because it shows up in multiple places. We're behind this on a brand level. We're behind this on an offer level, right? Like it's got to just have that juice. We can't just like throw names on something and be like, because I'm always not always joking, but I've been talking about lately. I'm like, guys, we can't just we're not going to be out there competing just on frameworks and price. It's not just that
Yeah.
you have a framework. It's what that framework genuinely showcases about the depth of your work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then very much mixed in and like that, just that crystal clear, pristine clarity around like who you were for. So we don't end up in this like sea of vagueness where it's like, I help ambitious women get to 5-figure months, right? Like we cannot be leading like that. Um, and also, that incorporation of who you are, because I feel like who you are is very, very central to your brands in both
Mm-hmm.
places. And how do you feel about that now? And clearly it's showing up in your results. How do you,
Mm-hmm.
but what people think is like, they don't necessarily know what to do with it, right? But as you
Yeah.
see, it just sort of gets like woven into all of our other messaging and positioning, but we have to get
Mm-hmm.
clear on like, okay, which pieces do we desire to amplify and have be part of our business, part of our brand, part of our message. So how do you feel now having that so much more woven into everything in your companies versus when you started?
Yeah, I think that one thing that I highlight in my brand, which I didn't always, was that I am Indigenous. And part of that is to like be like, I've always been straddling two worlds. Like I can, like there's always been this sort of like that's an uncopyable reality, is that I was just like raised in a culture of stories and all of these things, and I have these things about me that like are a result of that, again, that like central point where things roll off of it, that if like that's missing from the story, the rest doesn't feel grounded in anything. And so, and like that's not the only part, but also it's just like I've had such a varied life and like lived so many different places and done so many different things that when I try to like scrub any of that context or like that storytelling, like how can I be out here being like the most important thing your organization can do is like implement storytelling, and like all of these things will come from it, if I'm just going to be like, and I don't have any context, you don't need context to who I am, I'll lead you on this. Like adding in the storytelling and adding in that like multidimensionality has been so key. And then also like people right now, I think, are more and more getting allergic to like a traditional consulting model where it's like people come in and they like a lot of, especially like employees at organizations, feel a lot of apprehension when consultants are brought in, because it's like, this, like, these people don't know us, they don't care about us, like all this stuff. And like my whole thing is community and engaging the community you work with and all of that. And so it's like, if I leave that out and like the why of that's important to me, then like I'm not going to have any of the buy-in I need to like do the solid work that I want to do. And I also, you know, like I say things like I'm one of 6 children. And so like, if you need a team player, I am one. You know, there's just like so many things where it's like, if I left out that context, it's like, why would anybody hire me without any of that?
Well, and then stories are so powerful because nobody can replace our stories, right?
Right.
And it's just about learning how to market them. So we're not just like spewing, which obviously you have done.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the difference that you've noticed, perhaps in the ease of being paid, perhaps in how you're perceived, how you're treated, with bringing more of you forward, but through a lens that's actually important to your client as well?
Yeah. The difference of just like I heard this thing once that was like, nobody wants a well-rounded candidate. They want one with like someone with like a spike, like something to pay attention to. Like I legitimately think that like the only way to stand out is to like have that bit about you that like can't or won't be copied.
I mean, we just
Like,
have those like big points of tension in life and that kind of stuff.
yeah, and just like that, like it's not just as like I do what everybody else does, how everybody else does it, and I've done all of the prerequisites to do that. It's
Just
more
kind of like that cookie cutter, good on paper.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, like there's enough of that, and like it just doesn't stand out, and like it's really loud right now. Like you have to like, you know, something has to catch someone's attention, and be louder. And so I think there's like this, honestly, like this sense of relief when we're interacting, like because even in B2B, it's people making this, you know, it's like people hiring you. It's
We're
not a
always
business
talking to
hiring you.
people. If they're in someone else's business running their own, it does not
Yeah,
matter the context. Like which is why, you know, I've been able to also, I mean, I also worked in that realm, but successfully
yeah,
helped so many women who are B2B with so much ease. And it's like the way you're able to bring humanness forward in a way that people in the corporate world have dropped. And it like literally, it makes no sense. It makes them less money, who are
yeah,
like in your shoes trying to work with these brands. And then of course, if you're business to consumer, well, it's just as important, right? You're just doing it through a different market, but it's kind of like all the same thing.
it is.
And
Yeah,
also just even in our current model, like people are bored of being sold to the same ways, right? It's always going to be like, I really believe our story is who we are. It's like, is that tipping point? And then what you know, right? And your mastery and your lived experience is really powerful. But if you want to get far places financially and with clients, we need to have you woven into all of it in a marketable way that
yeah,
feels very congruent for you and is obviously very like activating for your client as well.
yeah. And another part of that too is that like in to your previous question about like what stands out is that like I want to teach people this. And so I've seen a huge shift in doing a lot of like teaching content and things through podcast and like a newsletter, that like giving people something to learn from and then being like, oh, I want more, rather than like keeping everything behind the paywall, or like it's like I think before I had attributed most marketing to like awareness raising. Whereas this, it's like, no, teach people, which to me feels different than awareness. It's like, give them skills, like give them these things. Cause then they're going to like, because if my actual mission on this planet is to like get all of this out there, then like get it out there. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't like, it doesn't cannibalize, you know, meaningful engagements. It like, it adds to them and like gives that like that trust building, that like this, in the same way that storytelling does, teaching gives that sort of like, I found gives that trust building, that like if I wanted to learn from you in this way, I want to learn together in more ways as well.
Yeah. I mean, and we see your Substack, you have 5,000 subscribers. That's
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not there for no reason. Meaning
That's
for,
true.
you know, the other part of your the doula
Yeah.
side of your business.
Yeah.
I was thinking because what you teach there is a little different than traditional doula. But yes, for the other side of your company, that is
Yeah.
so cool. I love to hear this. It just, everything, my sense of things, like everything just feels so like integrated
Yeah.
and like just very congruent and very easeful for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we want it to feel like. Like we want more money to feel easier, not harder. And I feel like you've continuously come to calls, you ask questions, you integrate it. You're like, hey, this is what I want to do with it. You're exploratory. Like you've just been so willing to just be like kind of a sponge. and let it
Yeah.
move through and then be like, okay, this is what I want to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I
Yeah.
love.
I'll try anything if it feels right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so amazing. And I just want to celebrate all of your wins. You want to share a little bit about how they went down, like the 25K cash month, the additional contracts, like the speaking
Yeah.
opportunities? Because I know you had this, like, it was just almost felt like a magic moment.
Yeah. And like to even back up a little bit from that, like my like the month before I ended my job, I had like some significant personal losses and things. And so I was just like to reiterate and bring home that like you don't have to be in a great place for like life to move forward and to be held. And I was just so grateful that I had the support I'd had to like have things running the way they were so that like I could be present with my community and with my people and myself and all of that. And then
Without having to worry about your business, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And especially because I
People
was
really
in
miss this one. Yeah.
right. Especially because I was in the lead up to, you know, leaving my job. And it was just like, it was just so much happening at once. But it also, like, I think for me, grief is a big clarity and like ego cleanser because it's like life just gets stripped down to what you actually want and need. And I was just like so suddenly much more clear on like all of the things that I wanted and needed. And so, anyway, so I was like, laddering up to quit. And so then I quit my job. And then within a few weeks, was invited to like one of my absolute dream clients to like, and this was a really interesting moment because it like brought together all of my work. It was like a narrative strategy conference that also wanted like grief doula support for the people in
Wait,
challenging.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that so cool? You're like,
Uh-huh.
how? In what world?
Right. So I was like offering grief doula support and then also on like some panels about like just this really intersected part of my work. And then, yeah. And then a previous client came back and they have like a prolonged project they want to do. So I signed a 2-year contract that like replaces the salary I was receiving from my job before. And it's like 1 day a week of work. And so many other contracts. And I don't even like, it was the day before I left for a trip to Paris. And it was the day I came into the chat to like share some of my celebrations. And I hadn't even clocked like what type of month I was having financially, but I was like pulling up, I needed to get health insurance because I was, no longer a full-time employee. And so I pulled up my profit and loss and I was like, oh, would you look, like, nice, but it was just sort of one of the, like, it was like that thing where you've talked about too, where it like becomes just sort of this like natural part of life where like, I wasn't even like, this is the month or things like that. I was just like doing the things. And then I got put in the class of 2025 public health 40 under 40. And so like that was a visibility moment. And like speaking engagements have come from that. I've had a couple and I have like one on Friday that there's already like 600 people registered who are like ideal clients. And so there's just, it's just like was that thing where it was like sort of what I was talking to at the beginning. It was like the thing that I thought was keeping me safe was actually just standing in the door of everything that I wanted to come in. And part of me knew that, but I just like couldn't make myself ready till I was ready. And I just had to sit with that and be like, I just wasn't, it wasn't until it was time that it was time. And it was just like, I had like intellectualized it and all of these things. And I think part of me was, I'm so used to being a sacral being and just like moving in the like, like this is what I want, this is what I do, and having overrode that for so long, I had to really come out of a process of like, wow, I just like, I don't really know where to go once I've overridden it for so long because I'm so used to just being like, yes, no, and then suddenly it was like, this was a no for so long and I had to like disentangle some of that. But once I did, like all of this stuff came through and I was just like, all right, you're good, you're settled, chill.
And do you remember we had a call a little while back and you were so scared about, something that had come up in this corporate environment and you were afraid that it meant that, for example, you wouldn't be able to like buy the land for you guys to build the next house.
Yeah.
And now you're already in process to doing that.
Yeah.
That was like not done. You know what I mean? Like things just get to move so fast. And also what was so beneficial is like, we were building your companies while you had that job because we got you out of, I can't be seen, but you know what I mean?
Right.
We're building companies while you had the job. So then it was done. It was like, okay. And we just like, whoop, slid into your highest 25K cash month
Yeah.
and got the income replaced on top of that. Like the whole thing is just amazing. So it's like sometimes people just like they spend so much time wondering about what to do with the job. I'm like, let's just build the company. So then when the job, which is what I did, I was like, just build the company, have support building the company. So that by the time the job is like, you got to go, it's like, cool, we're padded, we're good. Instead, they do nothing really in their business. And then just spend all this time going back and forth about either like the business they don't want to run anymore, the company, whatever it is, but you're not actually moving forward anywhere. And so then it's harder because you're like, you just wasted all that time going back and forth, but you weren't actually building the thing that you ultimately want to step into.
Right.
And it's just great.
Right.
This is like, so you don't have that drama for a reason.
Right. And like, maybe you had a
And you invested to really be there way before you even got to the point of like, you were like, I just know I want to build this, you know? And so, and you took it seriously. Like you were committed. I mean, you've consistently showed up to calls consistently straight for 8 months. Like you never did that like disappearing thing or like whatever. Like you've just been fully present the whole time. Even if you couldn't make it, like you would leave your question, I would answer it, you catch the replay, whatever it is. But like you've been present, like 100% present.
Yeah. And this was the job and things, and like had been the first time I'd like had real true stability in my life and like bought a house and met my partner and things like that. And so there was the part of me that was like, you can't just throw this away. Like, what are you doing? You will die. And so like I was almost someone who needed to like have that while I built the thing and have it really stable before jumping into it. And like,
but I don't think that's a bad thing. Everybody like demonizes having additional money come in while you build your company. The worst thing you can do to yourself is put yourself in financial scarcity while you're trying to build.
Yeah. And then strangle the business?
And it doesn't, no one quantum leaps like that.
Yeah.
People just waste so much time. Like, babe, just get extra income from somewhere unless you happen to have enough money. Then if you're going to sit there being like, oh my God, I'm watching my accounts go down. Like, well, it's just whatever you need to do to stabilize while you build, instead of being like, oh, I'm not going to like make this investment because I don't have money coming in, like enough money coming in. Yeah. I'm like, that's a great way to grow in circles for the rest of your career. It's like you prioritize being able to invest in yourself, do what you want to do in your personal life. And then we got your business to a place of like, now my business cannot only carry that. It's like, we're in excess territory now, you know?
And I think we talked about this the last time we talked, like and
this is, I just want to say huge for someone, and you know that I relate, who had previously a lot of like financial instability. So it's just like, for you to be learning this lesson that like you create the stability, you created the stability of that job. That job became less stable when it was no longer intended to be part of your like stability equation. You're creating the stability in the company. Like we lose self-trust when we've had a past, you know, I've had one. But it's like, it was always you all along. We just needed to support you and activate you in new ways and release things so that you could restabilize for yourself and not think that like, oh, well, this is only here because of this job, when really it's about you.
Yeah. And that's so helpful. And that's like something I have to remind myself all the time is like, yeah, it all comes from me. And, and I think that it's like this embodied sense that you can't get to before you're ready. And there was this, but that doesn't make it not scary, what you're talking, you know, it's not like readiness and fear are not, you know, the same. And I was like an extremely, beyond careful investor. Like it took me a long time to invest in myself, like in knowing I needed to, because I was like, I should be able to do it alone, this, that, and the other thing. And
nobody does. This is no one.
Right, exactly. But like, no matter how many times I heard that, it's like, well, I'm different. Right. And
we love to think we're so different. We're all the same.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And then when I did invest in the Revolution as my first investment, had you
been in anything else, or you're just taking me in my free content?
I was taking your free content, and then I did Manifest.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. That's a good one. Okay, so go ahead.
No, that's okay. And so, but it was like the Revolution was the perfect place for me where it like was an investment, certainly, but I could do it at a way that it was just like this. It was like it allowed me to like, regulate or like get used to the idea of like, this is necessary. And it was like the perfect entry point for me in that of like, it's a ton of support. It's a ton of access. And it was like a place I could come in where it was just like, where I could like almost sell the hesitant or like weary part of me on the importance of this type of having support.
You're like, see, look how good it's going.
Yeah. So we're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
And you bring up a great point because a lot of these masterminds, and I know you haven't been in them,
Yeah.
but where it's just like so many people, it's like 100 people, 200 people. And really what you're paying for is to like be a fly on the wall, hear a few people get coached, or they're just getting coached by all these coaches who aren't the coach you signed up with. And it's all very just like, you just got to figure it out. And you know that my approach is very different. In terms of, it's not just like come in the room and like hear me talk. Like you can be learning from that and that way if you desire to in programs. Of course, I teach you things. So you know what I mean? I'm very like, I talk about individually tuned mentorship and like, I mean it. Like I'm very in the weeds, in the Google Docs. How deep do we need to go? Like this isn't like you get 2 minutes and I got to bounce out to the next person. This is like truly in-depth support. And so I know you don't have the contrast. So I don't think you've invested in those kind of like trending mastermind styles now where it's like literally 100 people. And I don't run my proximity like that. So could you share those? I know you don't have the contrast, but can you share in terms of like, you feel actually, you know, what you've observed perhaps with like other people and you being able to like genuinely feel supported and not just like you're a fly on the wall?
Yeah. It's actually like, I was thinking about this at one of our last calls. Like that I have almost caught myself cutting you off because I assume that's the amount of time I would have on a call like that, but you keep going, you know? And so it's like the like, oh, you know, like there's however many of us in the room but you like, you like almost, it seems like can't help yourself, but go
oh my God, I can't.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love you guys.
Yeah. And it really shows. And like and it just is this clarity of just like, there isn't like a ticking clock or like you have 20 minutes to figure it out. It's just like this sort of like, it's like every question I've ever asked has been answered. And with so much like care and depth and like follow-up questions. And then in the same time, like, which it like when it's business related. And then when I have like energetic questions or things, you answer in a way that is just like, so like with so much heart and so much like honesty that I appreciate so much of just of like you have like of this way of like you see me so clearly that you're not going to let me play out my own bullshit, like you're, you know, and like you're gonna say, you know, what needs to be said. And I think that's just like no stone goes left unturned. And it like, and you see the way things are, I mean, you're psychic, you like see the way things are related to each other. Like I remember once I was asking a question and it was about, I don't even remember what it was, something structural related. And you're like, Madison, you just need to have fun. And like, it was just like, I could tell that you could see that I was like so caught up in like push in some way in my business by the way I asked the question, that without even adding that context, you were like, actually, you need to enjoy your life because like there needs to be balance here. And it was just like, that was you would have had to be paying so much attention to get that from the question and of how I showed up to the call. And it was like, I was like, oh, she like knows me and wants to know me and like deeply cares.
Well, it's energy. And I'm always going to give you a business answer too, but it's like, we can't override, as you know, like I love business, but it's like, we can't override your internal system. And so it'll be, I'm just a frequency person. So I just like read energy. So that's so funny. It's like, I don't even think about it. I just respond.
Yeah.
You know, and I can feel when we're getting like, you know, and like nothing can come through and we don't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what do I do about this? And you're like, you do this, but also go get drinks with friends. Like,
yeah. But also let's remember the whole point of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, yeah.
And isn't it funny? Like we get to have both. People are so afraid. I'm like, you can enjoy your life. You can slow down. You can feel nourished. You can be super present. You can get off your phone and you can still make a lot of money. You don't have to trade one for the other.
Right. And that's my whole thing too. Like the reason that I want abundance in life is like for my family and for my community and yes, for myself, but like for like, I like thinking now, like not to get too political, but you know, like with people losing access to like food and things like that, it's like, I want to be able to like, I want abundance so that no one in my life has to ever consider if that would happen to them because it's like, all of that. And so it's like, how then am I going to go and like access his abundance if I've cut the cords with the community because I'm like so busy seeking out the abundance? Like if I want that to flow back to them, I've like cut the feedback loop.
It makes no sense. Yet people build this way all the time and that's why they're not happy. Or that's why you hear, they're like, 70 years old telling you they wish they hadn't worked so much. And what they've
Yeah.
got to show for it is like money in the bank and broken relationships. It's like,
Yeah.
no, we're not playing that game.
Yeah. No.
We can like, I
Especially
respect her hustle, definitely. But it's like, but we
Mhm.
can just bring it with precision, bring it with certain seasons. There's just this endless grind that's not actually very well directed. People kind of just like are very conditioned with this hard work narrative. So they're just like patting themselves on the back for just general hard work. But I've actually seen a lot of time people do, they're not really building anything. They're like,
No.
they temporarily make money and then it crashes, and they temporarily make money again and then it crashes. And the only resource they know how to pull on to get it moving again is hard work. And like one day you just break.
Yeah.
And then they go, that's just the way it is. I'm not meant to play at a big level, blah. I'm like, no, babe, we just need to actually focus on sustainability, consistency, scalability. You can do all these other things from a place of fun, but like we need to relearn how you create money and experience money and hold money and grow money. So you don't need to trade your income for your life. Like they get to the whole, why would we be put on this earth to be like, you got two choices, get rich, right? Or like make no money and be happy. Get rich, make no money, be happy. That's the purpose of life. It doesn't even make any logical sense.
No. And when you talk about money as a resource, like that's what I think about so much too, of just like what, like you can't leave this planet with any resources intact. And so like, why would the point be to like accumulate them and not actually just like spread resources around how resources want to be spread around? It just like, it's like against the laws of nature, basically.
And like also the replenishment occurs.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, my parents have these like lemon trees in the front yard, and I'll go like pull lemons and drink my lemon water. And I'm like, okay, but so I took the lemon, but like the tree is nourished. The tree, gets what it needs, its nutrients, its water, whatever. And then there's more lemons. It's not like, well, I gave Jocelyn the only lemons. The lemons are never coming back in terms of like spreading the resources. It's like, we have to allow this like replenishment to occur.
Yeah. Which was and continues to be a big lesson for me. Like it's so often where I'm like, I'm never going to make a single dollar again in my life. And it's like, I just like, it happens all the time. And then I'm like, okay, sure. Like, all right. And then I just keep going.
You're like, anyway.
Yeah. Moving on.
Some parts of us are having a hard time going to bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like just moving it along. Yeah. That's so funny. Well, this is so great. And obviously we just welcomed you into Fempire, which is incredibly exciting. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because your first official day was yesterday. You know how time is these days. What is it? So I'm very excited to support you inside Fempire. And this is why I do what I do. This just feels so good. Like everything coming off of you, everything that is occurring, it's just like, isn't it almost easier than you thought it would be?
Yeah, it is. And it all in the way that I have to remind myself that this is the thing. Like when I was going to that engagement I was talking about, the day that I was on a panel, my partner texted me and she was, like just saying good luck. And she's like, you're living your dream. And like that actually was just like, oh yeah. Like, cause I can get so into like, what's next? And it's like, you're actually there in so many ways. Yeah. And then I think, thank you for the warm welcome. And I think it was just that decision of just like, now that I'm in this place, like, and I'm in a scaling place, it's like, what would that be? Like, if all of this has changed in 8 months of the support I've had, like, what will change in like being able to, like ask more questions and like move faster and like tweak in real time and things like that. And so it just seems like a really like natural, well-timed progression of just like the moment is now. And part of me was like, well, I just went full-time in my business. Should I like wait 6 months? And it's like, no, like this is not the time to wait. Like this is the time to go. Go.
Really glad you caught yourself in that one. Cause that's immediately we're like, oh, where's the part of me that wants to play small? Let's have her make a decision. And this isn't about like just going big to go big. This isn't like performative. It's like genuine where we're like, oh, well, I'm going to make more money if I invest more money. It's not about that. It's just like, okay, cool. I'm like all in now. I want, a different level of like, cause there's Telegram with me, yada, yada, like real-time support. It's just like, I'm just ready for that next level of depth and immersion. You're not trying to like prove something to the universe. It's just genuinely the level of support that you desire for this, where we're going next. And getting to here over these past 8 months has been the perfect amount of
Yeah,
support to create
exactly.
these insane results you've had here. So there's nothing like, it doesn't, people sometimes I feel like they wait to, they got to be in this like big hurrah energy. And I think it's actually what keeps a lot of women under receiving. It's like, no, just resource the level of depth, that
Yeah.
you're currently desiring today. You don't need to, it's not about making some big grand statement to the internet, to yourself, to the universe. It's just like,
No,
this is the level of support. This is the level of depth that I would desire to go to today. I'm going to start where I can. Like before, you weren't ready for Fempire, right?
no.
It didn't make sense to start there. We started the revolution. You get tons of support there too. And it's like, cool, like on to the next thing. It gets to be like very low drama instead of like
Yeah.
adrenaline and cortisol infused.
Yeah. It was funny. I was traveling when we
And
were,
you know what's so funny? I'll say, because we're
Hmm.
always talking about easeful
Yeah.
receiving. So I that night was like out with my family. And so I didn't like check my phone for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, and the first thing I saw was like, oh, I'm in the revolution for 6 months. And I was like, and isn't it funny? Like you're seeing your own ease of receiving. And for me, what
Mhm.
was I doing? I was just like pouring into my family life,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, isn't that so cool? Like goes
Yeah.
in both directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
It's like
sorry. When you
no,
invested
it's
in
like
family.
that. I'm so glad you said that because it's like that feedback loop that like we all want to be a part of. And like I really, really can't make decisions from that like hyped up play. Like I have the sacral yes, but then it's like I have to like really, check myself. And so I like because I have to make sure nothing's fear based. You know what I mean? Like I don't ever
Yeah,
want to like, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And so I like
I want you from that like
right.
grounded, like
Exactly.
this is
Yeah.
what I really want. Yeah, it's like a relationship.
Yeah. And you had sent the information and things, and I had been like thinking about it before you sent it. And so I was like, hey, this makes sense. And then I like knew I was on a plane when we were messaging, and I like knew I was going to do it. And then I like landed and I was on like an out 2 hour car ride with my partner. And I was like, okay, I think this is what I'm going to do. These are the reasons. And I like went over it for like a half an hour, like why it makes sense and da 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 da. And I was like, do you think I'm making an impulsive decision? And she was like, you just talked to me for a half an hour about like, why? No, like if you're making an impulsive decision, you'd have already done it. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, right. Okay. I'm really grounded in this. And this is like exactly right for me. And like now is the time. It's not in 6 months. It's like, it's now. Here we go.
Here we go. And we're going to go.
Yeah.
It's going to get even better.
Yeah.
You're just like perfect, perfect for my world. And
Yeah.
just so open and just the mix of all the things, where it's like, you're so well, like you have a lot of self-awareness in terms of like where it's not that you always know, of course, like the solution, but like you have the awareness of like, this is where I'm stuck. Or like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing. You're like, I am being in my hyper masculine. Like you will tell
Yeah.
me, it's like, I am being, and then there's other things where I'm like, Madison, I think we need to like look at this. And then even the things that questions you have about your business, like you're just very, like you're connected to yourself and you're connected to your reality. Like you never play that game of like, I just have no idea. Like you'll always
Mhm.
make your best effort.
Mhm.
Right. And like be very self-aware. And so I find it also then it's like, it feels very like seamless to help guide you forward. Because you are very self-responsible in a way that's not like, I don't mean it from like a hyper vigilance place. You just feel very connected to yourself.
Yeah. It took a
And
lot
like,
of work.
it's a priority,
Mhm. Yeah, it's one of my main ones, and it was just like I spent so long disconnected from myself that like I'm not going back there, and so it's just yeah, it's a daily practice.
I know the feeling.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you so much. For
yeah,
anyone else who happens to be on the fence about coming to join us inside Revolution, who's listening to this now, is there anything that you would share with them?
yeah. I would say that like that Jocelyn's not kidding. Like she's not kidding about how much she cares. Like she's not kidding about how much expertise she has. And there's just I think I was often before coming in was just like, well, what if it's not quite like that? It is what it sounds like it is like you're being led forward in like integrity and honesty and abundance. And so like it is there's no smoke and mirrors. It's just like you're like you get what you're told you're going to get, and like what you get from that is like much more than I think you could probably imagine. But it's like it's it, like it's yeah, and it's just there's no like manipulation to get you in the door. It's like if anything, I feel like it's like I wish that people could get more like of a sense of that how transformational it can really be.
Oh, thank you. That's why we love these stories, hearing from real people.
Yeah.
Real people talking to real people. That is like how I like to do things.
Mhm.
Because a lot
Yeah.
of people can market well, you know?
Yeah.
I want
Right.
I want people to really feel what it's going to be like
Yeah.
to be supported in my world,
Yeah.
and then teach you to market better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Madison. For anyone who would like to get in touch with you for either sides of your company, what are the best places to connect with you? And of course, we'll have your link in episode notes as well, or your
Yeah.
multiple links.
Yeah. I'm on Instagram at Madison Murphy Barney. And for the B2B side of things, yeah, just find me on Instagram and I'll take you from there. And my
Into
website
her
is
secret world.
madisonmurphybarney.com. Yeah.
Sorry, say it one more time because I interrupted you.
Yeah. My website is madisonmurphybarney.com and there's all the things there.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Madison.
Yeah. Thank you.